I think we've actually created something that people would call a podcast.
Yeah, it's perfect.
And that's all that I ever really go for in any one given week is to create one single podcast that someone else might refer to as a podcast. Like, hey, did you hear that one podcast this week?
Yeah.
And if it was mine, then I'm good. You're listening to the Unemployed Bartender Podcast with your host, Keith Carter.
They've already clicked off of the show.
You know, I haven't listened to many podcasts.
This is riveting for your listeners. You do realize this, right?
Yeah, I don't know. What else do you want to talk about?
Do you put like little outtakes in the intro of your podcast?
All of this can be cut out. It's pretty much just a podcast. It's informative,
Yeah.
but mysterious. New episodes every Friday. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at the UB Podcast. All right, welcome to the Unemployed Bartender Podcast. This is your host, Keith Carter. I am joined today by Mr. Jamie White out of Nashville. Mr. White is you do all the things, right? You own a couple bars, you bartend,
Yeah.
you're in a
Yep.
band called the Pink Spiders. Can you
Yes.
tell me a little bit more about you and what you've been doing?
Yeah. So Pearl Diver's been closed down since I guess beginning of March. So not too much doing with that. Just since we've been closed down, I'm working on a new bar. It's called Lucky's. It should be hopefully opening up by next month. A lot different than what Pearl Diver is. And then
Yeah, I saw the
was
pictures online today.
Yeah.
It looked really cool. I'm excited. Kind of, a buddy of mine has a company out over on Second Ave, kind of towards out where you're putting that one.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
I've spent
dope.
some time out there.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So, of course, like Pearl Diver is a pretty nice cocktail bar, and Lucky's just going to be a little neighborhood bar. And then, play music from time to time, but that can't really happen right now either. So,
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of the fires that you have irons in are kind of cooled off a little bit right now.
yeah, it's kind of crazy too, because a lot of people didn't really know. Well, many people know, but Nashville had a huge tornado like right before all this too. So we went from fixing our city to not working,
Yeah, in like 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was. I mean, this has been obviously just the most insane year that anyone's ever experienced.
Yeah, of course.
But
Yeah.
anyway, that's exciting though. I do love the Pearl Diver. I've been a couple different times. I spent about 9 months in. We've never met, by the way. So,
Okay. Yeah.
listeners at home,
Yeah.
I'm getting the chance to talk to Jamie for the first time here, which I'm excited about. But I spent 9 months down in Nashville at the Gold Rush, and I was
Yeah.
bartending there Thursday to Monday
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
whole time I was there. But
Yeah.
every now and then I'd sneak away and get over to the Pearl Diver.
Yeah. R.I.P. Gold Rush, by the way. I miss that
Oh,
place.
gosh. Me too. It's I don't even know what to do with myself when I go home because that's home base.
Yeah,
And
of
then,
course.
we all have our home base bars in every city that we go to, especially
Yeah.
if you travel a lot like you do and I do. Um, so it's when that's taken away, it feels like it just shatters everything
Yeah.
that you thought was holy.
Yeah. I mean, that whole little part of town, man, just in general, has had a couple of weird years. So,
The rock block is
yeah.
not rocking as much as it used to.
No, it is not. They actually, as of this week, they got an official plaque outside, like talking about Rock Block and the history and everything like that. So, luckily,
That's
the
really
city's kind of, doing something to try to preserve it now. But we'll see.
They're at least acknowledging that it exists.
Exactly.
As opposed
Not trying
to
to
just
tear
tearing
down.
it all down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you guys don't need this. We're just gonna put a couple more
Yep.
hotels over here.
Exactly.
Something that listeners at home might hear and see differently, I guess. I guess you'd only see it differently because we've never videoed our podcast before, but this is an attempt to do that. I scrambled around all day setting up I have a third bedroom that I wanted to turn into a studio. So I could do stuff like this and make it really cool. And I found this old bar last week for super cheap, and then bought a couple random things, and now we have a bar podcast studio. So I'm
That's
pretty
awesome.
excited about it. because I'm going to be able to do, I don't know, maybe make some drinks for people sometime. Who knows? But you're in the band Pink Spiders. I know you're doing a bunch of other
Yeah.
cool things, but I want to hear about the
Yeah.
music. I'm a fan of you guys. I listened. I was on the radio a couple times when I first moved down there. Enjoyed it. Caught a show of you guys. I want to say that were you guys at Elliston Rock Block?
Yeah.
The Elliston
Yeah.
Fest?
Exited.
Yeah.
Like
a couple years ago, 2-3 years ago.
Yes.
I saw you then. It was good.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Thank you. I'm missing it right now. It's been very weird, very different. We've been doing these series that we've been doing covers and putting it out every Friday, but it's all of us recording our parts separately. So it's different. It's different not being in the same room and practicing and anything like that.
I think that's kind of, if anything, that there's something that we gained from this is all of the additional skills that we didn't know that we had. The ability to record an album probably completely without ever seeing each other is probably not something you ever intended to want to do.
100%. I think if you asked me to do this too before quarantine, I wouldn't even know how to set this up to do this with you. So
exactly. That podcasting. I mean, we're all available at all times because a lot of podcasts previous to this, you'd show up, meet, sit down in the studio, do all that. But, we can kind of gather, have these kind of relatively intimate conversations where we get to look into each other's eyes and express things and whatnot. And that's, not so different than what it used to be, but it's definitely a change.
yeah.
But hell, I didn't even know, I didn't know anything about audio until a month ago when I decided I want to start a podcast. So I'm pretty, if I had to, sorry, it is a fucking 120 degrees in this room. There's no air conditioner. So I'm like, mentally, just kind of stay with me here because I'm dying.
No, you're fine, dude. You're fine.
Okay, so I understand that you used to bartend at 308, and
Yeah.
and you had the Pearl Diver, and you're about to open Lucky's. So
Yep.
I know you've had the bar experience, and obviously you've got the owner side of the experience. Can you kind of tell me like what that dichotomy is like of knowing what your employees are going through? Obviously, you're going through something separate from them as the owner, but still having to understand and or whatever. It's a
Yeah.
lot to take on. Kind of tell
It's
me
a
about
lot
that.
It's a lot to take on. It's switching roles from going just a bartender to being an owner. You're still working with all your friends, man. It's like I got 20 employees that I go out with every day. I have a night off, so it's still family. So it's really hard to tell those people. It's like, hey, man, we don't have work right now. Now too, especially with unemployment running up, and then it was even worse for. I don't know where you're at if it's like this too, but we got to open back up. We got to open up for about 3 weeks, and that was a weird decision we had to make where we're like, hey, you guys got to come off at unemployment, come back to work, and we didn't know if people were going to come out or not.
And y'all had to do it for the PUP, right?
We did, or the people. Yeah. So we did that, or we were gonna have to pay that back plus the interest. So
yep.
And those 3 weeks were really good. It was very different setting up the bar. You spend all this time hand sanitizer stations everywhere, buying everybody masks, 50% capacity. We weren't allowed to seat the bar. So our bartenders aren't even interacting with guests. It's kind of like a different thing than we've ever done before. And it went really, really well. The problem here in Nashville just happened is that everybody on Broadway kind of just said, fuck it, we're just going to open up like we're like normal business. And that got us all shut down. So yet again, telling our staff, hey, it's time to close up shop, and now I don't know if you're going to be able to get back on employment. And then the city, give us 2 days heads up. We batched out for the weekend. We probably had to throw out $10,000 worth of booze like that was batched, like
Yeah.
So now we've done that twice and still don't know when we're going to get back open. So,
Yeah, I'm in New York City, so obviously we had a big huge hit early on that informed the entire rest of the country what was coming. But
yeah,
we still haven't opened up, and they've actually banned indoor dining until June of next year, um, unless there's significant changes or a
yeah,
vaccine.
yeah,
But there's not bartending does not exist in New York City to in any extent. There
yeah,
is technically, I guess you could call it service bar, in which more of like a I guess the closest thing would be like one of those neighborhood lunchtime bar shifts that you cover the floor and the table, the bar, and you're doing everything.
yeah,
But there's only so many places that are open, so there's only some.
yep,
Most bartenders are still just completely out of a job with no option. And even if we did go back, you're talking about pennies on the dollar to what we were making
exactly.
before.
Yep,
So you know it's that justification. Like, do I take this job, get off unemployment, and make less money than I was making both on unemployment and before I
yeah,
even lost my job, or do I stay on this and now I'm oh, am I a leech on the system, or whatever.
yeah,
You just we all want to get back to work. We all want to do something new. That's why I started this. It's like, oh, maybe I can
yeah,
get a revenue stream somewhere else. I can't do it bartending, so
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you know too much of the situation here too, but so restaurants are allowed to be open here at 50% capacity, um, but bars aren't, and the classification between the two is it's really weird. At Pearl Diver, we sell a ton of food,
yeah.
just not enough. So I've been using this example. You can go into a steakhouse, have $100 steak and 4 martinis, and you still spent more money on food. Where if you come into
Yeah.
Pearl Diver, you can literally have 7 food items and 2 drinks, and you still spend more money on drinks.
So they're doing it dollar wise and not.
They're doing it. It's not by item; it's by dollar revenue. So
For here, you just have to buy some food for the outdoor. They're like,
Yeah.
so there's no indoor dining at all. There's no bars at all, but there's a ton of outdoor dining. Most major streets have been converted to where the parking spaces are now extensions of,
yeah,
like the parallel parking spaces are extensions of the restaurant bar fronts themselves, and
yeah,
you have to be seated at your seat or whatever, and you have to order food to get a drink.
yeah,
Now, but it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It can be,
yeah,
it
yeah, of
can't be a
course.
bag of chips now, because people
Yeah.
were calling them Cuomo chips and selling them
Yeah,
for a quarter.
yeah, of course.
Whatever we can do to rag on somebody in power, I guess. But
Yeah, no, I know.
I know the tornado hit pretty close to where Pearl Diver is.
Yeah, very close.
Were you at work? Were you in the area at the time? Can you tell me about what your experience was like?
So, yeah, I can. I was at work actually, and it's really weird. It was pretty late at night, and I was getting phone calls from my mom, which never happens. It's 11 something at night, and
Just late phone calls from your mom never happened. I hope
yeah,
so.
exactly. Yeah, well, yeah.
My mom's never called me.
Yeah,
and
she's
she did.
yeah. So I answered, and she's like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine. Why?" And then like 2 minutes after that, you just hear crazy sounds outside. Still didn't really know what happened, and about 30 minutes later, you get 30 texts on your phone, and then Three Crow had got hit really bad, and all their customers came to like Pearl all at the same time. Like everybody walked in the door just bawling, crying, all torn up, and you don't really know what to do in that situation. And then everybody's like, "Oh, do we keep on getting fucked up, or do we just like start going helping the city?" So that night, I got off work. We closed early. And you just kind of go in volunteer mode like right away. I think we were waking up at 6, 7 in the morning every day, going to do cleanup, throwing a benefit at Pearl Diver every single night. For
Yeah, I was
a
having
little.
this. I was having this conversation with someone like a couple weeks ago. I
Yeah.
miss those tragedies that we could all, unite together
Yeah.
and do something about and help. And
Yeah.
that's what's been so hard, I think, for everyone about this thing that's going on with us all now is that every single bit of it, no matter where you stand, whether it's coronavirus, race relations, it's all really out of our hands at a pretty major level.
Oh yeah.
Whether it's systemic racism, which we all, I would love to fix, but like, where do you start?
Yep.
Uh, you know, a virus that we can't see that's killing hundreds of thousands of people across the world and here
Yep.
at home. These are all things that I think every one of us wish that we had just a teensy bit of control over, and it would help
Yeah.
all of us mentally, and then we wouldn't have to buy cameras and microphones to keep
Yeah.
ourselves
No.
entertained with
You know, it's
strangers.
it's kind of weird, and so we go from the tornado and a tragic thing that actually ended up being a really cool, fun week. I mean, seeing that many people come together. I think at Pearl Diver alone, we raised over $20,000. We threw our first concerts there, which were awesome. It was a really, really fun, tiring week, and everybody being together was awesome. And then, the first shutdown happened about a week, 2 weeks after that happened. So everybody was unsure of things. But everybody was still kind of like in a positive mode. Nobody really had their opinions yet. I think everybody was posting positive things like, hey, like, I hope in these times we learn this and we read more and learn how to recycle and learn how to cook at home. And then
Pre-Memorial Day weekend. Yeah.
exactly. And then when we open back up and shut back down again, then politics kick in and then everything. And everything's just so divided on every level, every opinion. And it's kind of been weird for me in Nashville light, because I always kind of had a different vision on our city and a different understanding of the type of people that were here. And this whole events of today has really shined a light on a whole different crowd that I didn't really know existed in my own city.
Yeah, I think one thing that this has done is it's exposed a lot of us that consider ourselves progressive or people that really stand for something and believe in it, and then we're now being confronted with people that we considered friends and that we respected. They're just taking a
Yeah.
shit on it in public, and then now what do? Like,
Yeah.
that's been probably the hardest thing for a lot of people is just the emotional turmoil, the relationships that are being destroyed because of the ignorance of just a lot of people, um, compounding with the fact that we're all stuck wherever we are,
Yeah.
and we have to deal with it.
Yep.
We can't just like transiently move on and go hang out with our other friends.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there are no other friends.
No, exactly. Yeah, and I know it's worse probably up there for you guys than it is for us here. I think we got a little bit more freedom and leeway because a little bit more things are open and
Yeah, I can tell you that I did do some kind of post, I guess, kind of right in the middle when we weren't quite sure, and maybe it was okay to travel or maybe it wasn't. I did travel.
Yeah.
I went and visited my sister for her birthday, and my birthday is like a week later. We're the same age for like 8 or 9 days, 10 days, something like that, a year.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go visit her and be the same age as her in the city that she
Yeah,
was
yeah.
in. But she lives in Florida at
Yeah,
the time. Was not a big deal. She lives
Yeah.
in the Keys. I was going to go visit. I did, stayed there, had a wonderful time. Um, I've got a 14-year-old daughter, and I've got 2 nieces and a nephew that are all around the same age. So it was a good time for them to spend together. But when it's time to leave, things were different. We drove down, so we didn't have to interact with anybody. But the difference between the way people handle things down there, and specifically in Florida, but also since we drove, we got to experience it all the way up the East Coast.
Yeah.
as we were like, okay, I'm not going to this place because nobody's wearing a mask, which we saw a lot in Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina. This was before their numbers were bad, but it was like we literally just didn't stop. We're just going to keep going, so we don't have to deal with this shit.
Yep.
But because we were so hardcore about it in the front, like, I mean, we're just like less than 1% positivity rate in New York right now. We still treat it more seriously than the hottest hotspot in the country.
Yeah, of
and
course.
that's the problem with the rest of the country, is that I don't know that anyone's going to get there without a vaccine unless somebody is strong enough to say, hey, just shut up and listen for a second.
Yeah.
This is the real thing. I'm not trying to fuck you over. I don't care what politics you are. I'm just trying to save some lives. And until a leader can do that, we are behest to the whims of a bunch of fucking assholes that don't give a shit about anybody else. Yeah. And that's just the truth of it. And there's a lot of them where a lot of people that I considered friends or at least close acquaintances down in Arkansas, where I'm from, in Nashville. You know, I'm a Southern boy. I'm 36 years of my life down there. And there's very few people from back home that I still talk to in the last 3 or 4 months. That just like, I don't have the same respect for too many people, and it's just really sad.
Yeah, I totally get that. And you wonder if any of those relationships will be different at some kind of end of what we're going through right now, and a lot of them probably won't be.
Yeah, unless there's just some sort of, because there's a point in which there's no amount of, understanding or seeing their side. There's just some issues that's just not a thing.
Yeah.
And I think the problem is there's too many of those issues happening right now. So it's making us all really reflect and look and not have a chance to avoid the things that we don't find comfortable.
Yeah.
Like we want to.
I mean, I even wonder, like, in general, like how when we're open back up, like how groups in general are going to hang out. I think, a lot are just going to be normal, but I think there's going to be some people that have been more affected by this stuff their whole going out is going to be totally different. So it's going to be very interesting to see that aspect.
Yeah, I think you'll see wholesale shifts in the way people interact. There's going to be some people that just never come back out, and we're going to lose a percentage of the population to public events. It might not be a huge percentage, but it's going to be something. And then there's going to be the people that are just comfortable in open spaces and whatever, and it's going to take some time to just get back in. I think claustrophobic tendencies are going to be rampant.
Yeah.
I mean, I already have a hard time interacting with anyone that steps into my space now. I'm so protective of my space when I'm in public. Just like, please allow me to exist and not have to breathe your maskless air. And I don't want to be that much of a dick when I interact with people in public, but I think it's going to take time it's going to take us all just too much time. This thing's not even over. We could be talking about this for 3 more years or 6 more months. Who knows?
You know what I did notice too, that short time we were back open is, as a bartender, especially in cocktail bartending, like there used to be always like rules to the cocktail bar and all this stuff. And I think it's been kind of cool to see how cocktail bars have evolved the last few years to maybe being a little bit more relaxed and not having all these rules that, you can be on your cell phone at the bar and you don't have to play old jazz music, and that's why I loved working at 308, because it was just it was a party cocktail bar, so it's been it was very weird opening back up and you're policing your guests.
Which is instead of looking out for their experience.
Exactly. And you're like, no, you got to do this. No, you got to do this. Hey, can you do this? Can you do this? And
also tip me a bunch of money.
Yeah, exactly.
While I tell you how to live your life.
Exactly. So we noticed we shut back down, but we were like, man, I think we actually might have to start auto-grading every check. Or we were like, we're going to have to put more employees on. We like just added hosts. We never had a host. We're not a restaurant. We're a bar.
Yes.
And we put one host on. Now we're like, we need 2 or 3 hosts just to tell these people like what to do in line to the bathroom. You know, like
yeah, because your only job now becomes just haranguing people as opposed to serving them.
Exactly. So you know, I get it. It's hard to make a really fun environment. If you go into Pearl Diver, you want to be relaxed, like you're on vacation, drink a pina colada. And then here you are, you got like a whole staff that are mad about something because somebody just yelled at them because we asked them to put a mask on to just walk through the building.
So where do you see, like, let's say there's a vaccine in January.
Yeah.
But what does that look like for Pearl Diver, Lucky's? Like, assuming that we can, do you think that's going to be, are bars like yours going to be able to last that long? Is there like a, not just your, but in general, is there going to be a point in which, like, if this is 4 months, then 80% of the bars are going to be fine, but this hits 6 months, we're going to lose half, and then anything beyond that, it's like precipitous.
I don't know the count so far, but we're already losing. I can, off the top of my head, think of 4 or 5 that have already closed.
Yeah.
And the thing that kind of sucks is a lot of them are newer places, and that's what scares me about Pearl Diver, because people just look at a business, but you got some bars that paid their bar off 10 years ago. We actually just had our 2-year anniversary like 2 weeks ago.
Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah. So, we have, imagine all those loans on top of everything. Basically where I am on my own personal account for Pearl is every dime that I've made since we've been open has went back. So when we reopen, whenever that is, I start at 0 again.
Pretty much just hoping that you get a chance to start back at 0 is
exactly
essentially what you're hoping for.
Yeah. And, they gave us an SBA loan, and then Tennessee gave us, we got a grant from Tennessee. That's $20,000 that lasts us a week,
it's expensive to run a bar. I mean, just ordering liquor a week is $4 to $7 grand, or more, depending on how much
depending
on
where.
I don't know.
Yeah. So it's different. Lucky's getting open actually will probably be better for me than Pearl. Basically, weird laws here in Tennessee. I can file Lucky's as a restaurant when I first open up. So I'll, no matter what, and then they'll reevaluate a year later. So I'll be able to run as soon as I'm done with my build out, which should be in, I hope in the next 5 weeks, I can just open and be a restaurant.
Is there any amount of you mentioning that on my podcast that could get that taken away from you, or is that just
no
what it is?
That's just
perfect.
Nobody's sitting in that law office changing that, because it's been there like that for 50 years. So
it's just, you tell us if you're a bar or a restaurant when you open, and then we'll check back with you later to see if you lied.
Yeah, I think almost everybody in our state just goes ahead and opens up as a restaurant, because you save on your insurance, you save on this. And you also, I mean, to be honest, we did it at Pearl, but we didn't know what we would sell more of. I mean, we have a great food menu and a great cocktail menu. It's not up to me. It's up to the customers to come in and get what they want. So it's kind of a unfair thing.
In Nashville, they make the determination of whether or not you're a bar or restaurant based on your alcohol sales?
Yeah. Yep. After year 1. So you basically do a reevaluation after year 1.
And then whenever you do that, then you get different rules and regulations from restaurants?
Yep.
That's nice. It's the right way to do it, I think. Well, let's see. Yeah, so in New York, we're losing stuff that have been here for years,
Yeah.
and some just like iconic places. Um, I drove, as I mentioned earlier, I've been driving around all over the city getting stuff for setting up for tonight for this video podcast that we're doing right now. And I just driving back from, I don't know, I was on 17th and then kind of just took Broadway down just to see what Soho and just all the different shopping districts and things were. And there's so much inventory, so many buildings. I mean, maybe like one or two places every couple blocks on the retail side.
Yeah.
And then, of course, if you don't have an outdoor space, and then Manhattan is particularly troubled by this because there's just less available parking spaces that aren't commercial or loading zone or no standing only, whatever. There's a lot of shit like that in Manhattan because it's previously a very large city, busy city, I should say, and so a lot of those places don't even have the option to open up front or don't have a backyard like a lot of places in Brooklyn do. So it's like I could have got a place cheaper than my apartment in South Slope, Brooklyn, which is a less expensive but still nice part of Brooklyn, but it's cheaper. And I could have got a place in the East Village for $200 less than my apartment here, just because the Manhattan prices are just plummeting because there's no reason to be there. There's
Yeah.
no Broadway. There's no museums. There's no millions of people coming to go to work from Jersey and Connecticut and visiting from all over the world. I mean, that's all gone. It's like 85% of the viable economy that existed for New York, which was just people. People was the economy, and they're gone. And I don't know. I mean, I'm sticking around because I want to rebuild whatever the new version of New York looks like. And, the only way to do that is to be here. But it's fucking scary. I can tell you that.
You saying that the new rebuilding of New York, it's, and this from being in Nashville before, but they haven't even stopped construction even a little bit. There's actually more cranes. There's more cranes in the city than there were before, I think. And that's not even from tornado cleanup, because that's just East Nashville that got hit, not our downtown area.
I'm glad you brought that up because I noticed the same thing today. Actually, when I was like, there were some huge structure was going up, but there was like 45 different things, like big, huge construction projects going on just in the area that I was traveling in Manhattan today. I'm like, who are they building this for? Like, there's nobody in the places that already are there. Like, I guess I'm sure there's some sort of, legal business thing that I'm not privy to that means they've got to keep going or they lose something. Who knows? But I mean, there's nobody when this gets done. There's nobody to go into the thing that they just did.
Yeah.
So I don't understand it. But
it's kind of so like the apartment complex that I live in right now. There's still 10 Airbnbs. They have been full the whole time still with bachelorette parties that literally can't go anywhere. So I don't know what they're doing. Well, the one thing that they haven't stopped here, which I know you probably know a little bit about too, is you can still get on a party bus and ride around Broadway. Nothing's open, but you can still go party with your girlfriends on a bus. Like how can they do that and a bar can't be open? Like
I remember reading about that, about the outdoor stuff, but I guess they have a loophole because they're not governed by the city. Something the way that bars are, the same reason that you're going to get to open Lucky's for a year, so we can't be too mad at dumbass regulations. But
exactly. I know. There's loopholes that we like,
Yeah, we like that one. This one's pretty fucking stupid because, I mean, it's, this is what, the 5th episode of this podcast now, and I've talked about the coronavirus and its impact and all that shit on all of them because there's nothing else to talk about. But I am getting tired of talking about how stupid people are, because that's what's holding us back. Everything would be fine if everyone had just done what New York had done. Then it wouldn't have even gotten to New York.
Oh yeah,
there was people coming to visit me in New York like 2 weeks after this all went down. and then going back home to the places that they live. They're like, oh, I'm going
Yeah.
to come, like attempting to do this, I should say. Didn't actually succeed. I didn't allow any, I saw no one in the
Yeah.
first month or two.
So actually the first month, this is kind of a fun little story. I got a really, really good friend, and he's a pilot. He's got a little 4-seater plane, and he calls me the day the bars were to shut down. And he goes, "You're the only person that I know that's crazy enough to do this, but do you just want to get on my plane and go fly to the desert and around the desert where nobody's at for 20 days?" I'm like, all right, let's go. So we flew to a place called Terlingwood, Texas, and flew in on a little dirt strip and stayed on this ranch on a 10,000 acre desert farm, and got to go to Big Bend National Park every day. It was closed. He had a friend that got us some passes to go there, and just sat in a national park with just us for 15 days. And then went up to
fun.
It was awesome. Because we were all freaking out. We're like, well, we don't want to go anywhere anybody is and fly into somewhere and then be mad at us. And he goes, dude, You're not going to see anybody. The population of this town is 58 people, and the closest neighbor is like 5,000 acres away. So
it sounds like where I grew up, but in a desert setting as opposed to the mountains. I was Possum Kingdom was the closest like little named thing on the map in Buckville.
Yeah.
Jesseville is where I live, but it was between Buckville and Possum Kingdom, about 50 miles from BFE. Yeah, that's a great place. It sounds.
Yeah.
You're not gonna see anybody
awesome.
around.
Yeah, we had a really good time, man. I never used to be good at. I've always been a city guy, and never really was good at relaxing, and that kind of put a whole new perspective on life for me. So I'm really glad I want to go do it, because normal vacation for me is like, hey, I got a list. I got to go hit every bar, every restaurant, every landmark, because I don't want to be the guy that comes home and somebody goes, did you check this place out? And if I say no, then I'm be like, I feel like I never even went.
Yeah.
So this was
now
I don't care. I'm just going to sit there.
Now you have reached that point of self-realization and centeredness that you don't give a fuck what anybody else says. And you that's the beauty of spending. Like I said, I grew up there, so I stopped giving a long time ago. But there's something about being miles from humanity, and the stars and just everything just changes your perspective on the way you view your place in the world, just society, all that jazz. And I stopped caring about what other places to go see when there's all places we want to see and stuff, but when I visit a new city, I just try to get as ingrained into the local life as I possibly can. That's my goal every time I travel now, is find the coolest bar that might have the coolest bartender, and then saddle up and then pick their brain until
of course.
find I've unlocked every secret in the city within 48 hours. That's the goal. Yeah.
I mean, we're in an industry, luckily, where that is very achievable. So
yeah. Hopefully we're in that industry.
Well, yeah, we were.
Talks to people on the internet.
Yeah.
So I don't even know how long we've been talking. It's been a nice long conversation, or maybe it's been super short and it feels really long. I don't know which one would be better.
I think we've been going for a while.
40 minutes.
Yeah.
I think we've already got 40 minutes under our belt, and I haven't even asked any questions yet. All right, let me look and see what I have on I like to type things out about you before I talk to you. And then I
for
can
sure.
say some of those things back to you. So you're from New Jersey, right? So you're familiar with the New York City area then?
I'm more familiar from vacation than growing up. My parents moved here when I was in second or third grade. So I still, all my family besides my parents, brothers and sisters, still live in New Jersey. So I know from visiting them, and I mean, I've went and visited New York City, especially more now from bartending than I have for music.
Yeah. What is the
A
bartending
lot.
capital of the world?
Yes, for sure. So yes, I'm very familiar with New York, but not from New Jersey directly.
Oh, okay, I got you. I do see. Okay, so you travel a lot,
Yeah.
from what I can gather here from this paper.
Yes, a good amount. Well, I did.
Yeah, previously. All right, I got a good question. This is a good question. Let's see. You've been to Cuba, Thailand, Japan, Korea, Brazil, Mexico. Where's your favorite place that you visited? Cocktail wise, like which one had the most influence on cocktails that you now or previously were creating in Nashville?
uh, it's, and I think everybody has a different experience of what their personal take on cocktails is. I fell in love. I'm gonna say a tie here, but it's gonna be between Bangkok and Mexico City. I absolutely love what they do. I think they have flavors and fruits and spices that we're just not used to, and
insects and all.
well, yeah, that too. Where it was really weird because going into like Japan per se, everybody in America is so obsessed with their cocktail culture. And don't get me wrong, I think everything they do is to a T awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a very classic way of bartending. You're not going to go in there and get a new invention. They're just they're gonna make you a solid drink the best way possible.
They're perfecting the existing recipes that are out there.
Exactly.
And crushing it.
Where you go to Thailand and you wake up and have some mango and sticky rice and then some drink with a spice in it that you never had or heard of, and you try to ask somebody what it is, you might never even figure it out. Then I feel like that was kind of Mexico City too, because almost everything they use there, they use some kind of a spice, whether it's something spicy or just a spice in general. And I think it's just a really unique, different way, and something that's underutilized in American cocktail scene.
Yeah, and I think American being so diverse, and it's to our disadvantage almost on a worldwide scale, because we can't really combine and be like like you're saying, Thai cocktails or Japanese cocktails.
No.
There's a unifying theme there. But in America, you're going to get something completely different in Beaverton, Oregon, that you get from Hialeah, Florida, or Maine, or wherever. Like everywhere you go. But also you can get the consistency, because everywhere you go, you're going to have. It's more about the style and the choices. That's what we love here in America. So you get to go to your dive bar, you got your cocktail bar, you got your sports bar, and then you got your hybrid, whatever the fucks, that mix of all together. The first bar I opened here when I moved to New York City was called Vintage 61. It was a Yankees themed elevated wine bar with a French kind of like a French take on like classic American food, and also things that you would enjoy while watching a Yankees game. It was a lot.
Yeah.
It was great. I loved it. It was in the South Street Seaport down in Fidei in Manhattan. Wonderful place. Met obviously wonderful, great people. But it's there in America. Like there's you have all. There's no unifying theme to anything. No. We're all just kind of doing whatever the hell we want.
Yeah. What I kind of found funny about it too is, like I said, where you go to Japan, everything you have, it's going to be great. It's going to be to the T. And I'm saying some of these drinks that I even had in Mexico City or Bangkok, they actually didn't nail it. But you're also trying things that you've never had. So it's so cool to just be like, I'm going to try to go home and take this and make the better version.
Actually make it right.
So that's what I've really enjoyed. And gotten out of those travels. So
Well, that's cool. All right, so at the end of kind of every sit down chat, whatever we just did here, which was fun. I really enjoyed and appreciated you coming joining me, by the way, because I've never met
yeah, of
you,
course.
and we have some co-mutual friends, but
Yeah.
it's been a good time. I appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, dope. So do you know Reggie? Reggie is the one who told me to hit you guys up.
Yes, I know Reggie.
Okay. He's the one who put us in contact.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks. Shout out to Reggie, bartending in Brooklyn now, I guess.
No, he just moved to like Austin.
I'm behind the times.
Yeah, so he went and spent COVID in Florida with his girlfriend's parents, and then they just said, "Hey, fuck it, we're gonna go to Austin, try to start over, see how COVID treats them down there."
See, and I can't even do it. Like I considered, because I had to find a new place last week. I just signed a new lease here in New York. I'm like committed, but I had to make that decision obviously last week. But there was no, I'd say like 90% of my choice was based on the fact that I wanted my daughter to be able to she wants to go to theater. And she's amazing. She's extremely talented. And I wanted her to experience what it could be like if she was like, classically trained at a performing arts school in New York for the thing that New York's famous for.
Yeah, of course.
So that's kind of why we're here. And it's when it's going to keep me here until that's just not viable. But it's there's a lot of people having to make some really, really tough decisions right now with their life on where to be, where to go. And I don't think any of us are confident in the choices and decisions that we've made. It's
Yeah.
like because there's nothing we don't know shit. So it's so hot in here. I can't even remember what I was trying to say. But that's
It's
what
like
you get
the end of the segment thing or something.
Yeah. Well, it's because I previously, since last week, I recorded this podcast in my closet, which sounded great, but was horrible because it's a closet and everything. And I wanted to be able to do video and all this stuff, so I spent all day like sound treating this room and getting all this set up and everything. But there's no way to get air in here because we only have window units. There's no central heating air in this apartment. But even if the air conditioner was running, it would be loud. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
We're doing good though. I think we've done well for how hot I am.
Yeah. Good.
So one thing I like to do at the end of the thing we just did is do what I like to call closing time lightning round, in which I ask you a bunch of questions that are guaranteed to have people approaching you on the streets because of how controversial your responses were.
All right.
That's not true at all. They're very, very tame questions. But let's see. If you could only drink one cocktail for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh, fuck around, dude. You know what? This is terrible because I'm a cocktail dude. I'm gonna say whiskey Coke.
Look, there's nothing I love more than crafting just like the most exquisite cocktail and presenting it and then watching it be consumed and then just receiving that adulation just because it's amazing.
Yep.
But I'm a shot and a beer guy till the day I die on my own imbibe time.
Yep.
And yeah, give me a JMO and a local IPA and I'll be happy.
Yep.
Forever and ever and ever.
Yep.
But yeah, no, whiskey Coke. I cut sodas out about 5 years ago because I had like 275 pounds.
Yep.
And I hated weighing 275 pounds. I found out that if I just cut all the sodas out, because I drank 4 to 12 32-ounce sodas a day, because I consume a lot of liquid. So I drink a lot of water now and a lot of whiskey.
That's what's funny about the whiskey Coke for me, though, because whiskey is not my go-to liquor, and I don't drink soda.
Yeah, but there's something about the flavors of just the perfect balanced sweet bourbon with a Coca-Cola. I get it.
Yep.
I mean, I enjoy it. It's great.
Yep.
Unless or you can put Dr. Pepper and then have
Yeah.
it's the 24th flavor. How many flavors in
Uh,
Dr. Pepper? That
20, 23.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
24 flavors. Just
Yeah, with whiskey, yeah.
dip a little whiskey in there.
Yeah.
That's the way I like to drink my Maker's Mark after a shift. Just fill it up, to go cup.
Yeah.
I don't know, however much. Then you go.
Perfect.
Obviously not with the owner's liquor though. You get your own.
Well, yeah, clearly, right?
Never on a shift drink.
Yeah.
No, we used to actually at Gold Rush, we would bring in our own bottles of stuff for extra pours and stuff like that. It was a very known thing because we'd obviously when you're a place that is built on the backs of regulars and the only people that come in there are regulars, you got to figure out some way to take care of them. So that's
100%. 100%.
Anyway, let's see. Let's get back to this lightning round. So we've asked one question in 5 minutes. That means the lightning round is 5 miles away. I think that's how it works. All right. If you could only eat one cuisine for the rest of your life, I have some pre-written questions that I'm just reading off right now.
One cuisine.
It's too hot to read. It's too hot to think. But if you had to eat only one cuisine right now, what would it be for the rest of your life?
Probably Mexican food.
Mexican food. That's pretty inclusive. That's probably the most inclusive food group you probably could have gone with.
Yeah.
They utilize all the different meats and every part of it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a solid choice. I think I'd go Japanese though. I love ramen and sushi.
Yeah.
Every day, all day, I could do it.
You can go really vague and just say Asian.
Yeah, but I want to. You're right.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I could tie it all together because.
Yeah.
Let's see. Are you a sports guy at all?
Yeah, I am.
Are you more Preds or Titans?
Preds.
Preds.
I'm a Raiders fan.
Raiders. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any other like hardcore affiliations, or is like Raiders your like identity team?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I'm a Razorback, Arkansas. I have two identity teams. It's the Razorbacks here and the Yankees here. I've been a Yankee fan my whole life. And then I got Little Rock.
Yeah, huge boxing fan too. I love boxing.
Are you wow, I completely forgot my favorite boxer's name. That's from Arkansas. Jermaine middleweight.
Yeah, I can't remember his last name. I know who you're talking about though. Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson's about to refight. He's fighting on September 12th.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I think
who's he fighting again? Roy Jones?
Roy Jones Jr.
Yeah. I've got to go with Mike just because nostalgia.
I'm gonna go with Mike. He looks
I think
good.
everyone wants Mike to win. I remember like a monumental, like there's some things that like stick with you, but I remember when Mike Tyson got beat by Buster Davis. What's his name?
Buster. God, why are you doing this to me right now?
I know. Why am I doing it to myself? I just usually know things. It's too hot in here.
Yeah.
Buster.
Buster Douglas.
Yeah, that's it. Buster Douglas. We got knocked out. I remember like I think I was in third grade because I was at the like playground. We were shooting some hoops and it was my last year living in Little Rock before we moved to the middle of nowhere. And someone was like, did you see how like Buster Douglas knocked out Mike Tyson? We were all talking about it on the playground at school. But it's like a firm memory. Like I remember, like I can like visually see like my surroundings on that particular day. So yeah, it was boxing was a huge part of like growing up. I think in the 80s at least when Mike Tyson was there. But I do love boxing.
Yeah, I think so. Honestly, I just recently started getting into podcasts, and it was Mike Tyson's podcast that did it to me. So that's why I think it was pretty cool to get on here and see what it's kind of about.
Well, I appreciate you coming in. Jermaine Taylor is the name I was trying to think of earlier.
Okay.
The two-time middleweight champion of the world from Little Rock, Arkansas. I have 2 of his gloves signed.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if you followed his story. Things have taken a bit of a turn. But I still appreciate everything the guy did for the state at the time in which he was fighting at the top level.
Yeah.
But yeah, boxing it's a very fun sport to enjoy, but there's obviously some repercussions that I personally got to see with Jermaine Taylor, because he was a very different person when he first started fighting than he was the last 2 years after he wasn't defending his title anymore. It's just I don't know if you've heard anything about it or know anything about it.
I'm not, but I it's a kind of classic told story, that
I mean, Mike Tyson went through the same thing. Like, not the exact same thing, but they they definitely got legal troubles.
I'm interested to see. So the IBF super middleweight champion of the world right now is actually from Nashville, and he just won his belt here in Nashville. They had their first title fight ever in Nashville. I got to go to it, so I'm interested to see what happens after, he kind of takes a little break.
Is that what got you into boxing? Was like that? Recently?
No. My biological father boxed, and it was kind of always a story from my mom that's what he did. And my mom always had boxing on, and I didn't learn until several years ago that was like her favorite sport. And
I mean, if your dad's a boxer, it stands to reason.
Yeah. So about a year and a half ago, I started boxing, and I lost a bunch of weight doing it and started getting a lot healthier, and it was kind of a cool so it was a very cool way to work out, not being at work than just your typical let's go lift some weights, go running. So
now, are you much of a fighter though? Because I boxing sounds interesting. I would love to learn some new calisthenics to drop some pounds, because I was trying on different shirts to wear for the show tonight because we're on video. And the shirts I bought when I was in Florida, I was looking svelte.
Yeah.
And I'm on post vacay eating habits that are not as healthy as the ones that because when you go to the tropics, I don't know about you, but when I go to the Keys, all I want to do is like lay in the sun, and then I like a lot of people like to get drunk. I like to eat healthy. I like to like something about that environment makes me just want to like eat salad every day and like really monitor my calories and weigh myself. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm about the opposite.
What about what it is? Well, I have to take my shirt off when I'm down there, and that's the key. So I'm like,
yeah, makes sense.
As long as I'm in public, and I know I have to be in public, and I can't hide it, like behind a bar. I look fine. I'm fine now. But before I would always go on extra diet when I'm on. 100% lost track of what I was saying. It is so hot in here, but I hope it's worth it for my listener to get to see me on camera instead of just having to listen on Spotify or Apple or Google or whatever. But
exactly.
Anyway, we'll go on to the next question, because I don't know. Let's see. All right. So are you Apple or Android? I like to ask this because I like to know.
Apple.
It's such a dumb question, but I'm such an Android guy that I like to shed on Apple people as much as I can.
Yeah.
Not you. I like you. You're cool.
All right.
Do you use Gmail?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is where it goes, and this is where I got to stop, because then we're just gonna go down a rabbit hole where I'm just gonna be like, you already got Gmail. You're halfway there.
But I have a Yahoo as well. Somehow.
Okay.
Somehow I still have a Yahoo. I do. I do everything business on Gmail, and my personal I use on Yahoo, which it's just because I've had it since I was 16.
All right. What do you have a 16-year-old's Yahoo email name then, or is it something?
It's Jamie Sky Guy, same as all my other handles.
See, when I had a Yahoo account, they did not. I had Sparky 1703.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know what those numbers are for. I chose them for something. Maybe I was 17 and it was the third month. I don't know. And it was Sparky for some reason. And then I did NYC Hog Ska because I loved New York City, the Hogs, and ska music. And what better way to let people know than just to throw it all together in your username. But I mean, Jamie Sky Guy works, and it's kind of both. It's informative,
Yeah.
but mysterious,
Right.
alluring. Like, where is this? Is he in the sky? He's a sky guy.
When I was 16 or when I was younger, I was in a band called the Jersey Sky. So everybody
cool.
called me Sky Guy.
I was in a band called Unashamed. I was super Christian as a Ute. I am not really want to discuss my religious preferences at this time, but I was super Christian at the time. I'll just say that. And so I was in this band, seeing me and this other kid sang vocals, co-lead vocals, I guess.
Yeah.
Neither of us wanted to play anything, so it was 2 lead vocalists and then a guitarist and a bass and a drum. None of sang vocals. It was great. We rocked. But it was a super Christian band. And I don't know. I don't even know where I was going with that.
It's too hot, man. It's too hot in there.
It's so hot, I can't even concentrate.
It's like we're on an episode of the Hot Ones right now.
We are, except I'm the hot one.
Yeah.
And not in an appealing way. Let's see. I say let's see a lot. Are you a hip hop guy?
Yeah. So it's not so much more like popular hip hop, but I'm obsessed with chill hop. If you ever heard of that, or like just
is it like lo-fi hip hop?
Like lo-fi, yeah, chill, like all that. I throw those playlists on all day long.
Now there's not much better for background chill music, bar music. I think lo-fi hip hop is like the perfect bar music that's ever been invented.
I agree.
On a non-chill side, do you have any hip hop artists that you follow? Are you a hip hop head?
No, I wouldn't say so much. I've been an old punk rock dude my whole life, so
okay. Punk rock, I can down. We can talk punk rock too. I'm a punk rocker.
So I mean, I did. I'm in Pink Spiders now, but I have other bands. I mean, I was on this record label called Paper and Plastic for a long time, which is Vinny from Less Than Jake's record label. So I toured Europe with NoFX, Dropkick Murphys. I've done the Vans Warped Tour. I don't even know how many times at this point. I actually did the last one in Atlantic City when it was up there. Was it last summer?
Oh, cool.
So old punk rock, dude. It's 70s punk rock. I can go down that rabbit hole all day, every day.
Yeah, for me, it's kind of a nexus of, and this is where I really, like the late 90s, early 2000s, like really was just like churning shit out for me. But I'm super into like hip hop, ska, and punk. Those are like my 3 favorite genres. In the late 90s and early 2000s, for those who don't remember, who are not familiar, there was a lot of mingling of those 3 genres together into some really fun and amazing music that I still enjoy to this day. But it's I don't know. I love music. I miss playing music. Tell me, we have like completely fucked up the lightning round. This
it's fine.
We're like 27 minutes into the lightning round.
I like it though. I like this.
I know it's super slow, but I like it. Nice chill vibe. What I like about the format that this show like affords me to use words that are oft not used in regular conversation. It can be meandering and interesting and boring and fun all in like the same time frame because that's what bartending conversations are like, and that's the whole point
Exactly.
of the show.
Yeah.
It's like, uh, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, but anyway, let's go. Let's move on. But though we have the added like element of the fact that I'm recording this with the video camera for the first time, and I've always just like uh liberal editing. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do as much with the video. I might have to just like let this whole thing just ride and just
Hey.
we'll see. I don't know. I don't know if people. I need to listen to more podcasts because I've listened to like 27 minutes total of other people's podcasts before I
Yeah.
started this one. So I don't know if like people do just kind of let it be more open format or if it's polished and tight.
So, like I said, I've been obsessed with Mike Tyson's, and it's pretty open. It's not very polished at all.
I think I'm gonna let mine go. I'm just gonna let it all out.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's like they're like other hosts. He has like 3 questions maybe he wants to ask,
yeah.
and then besides that, it's just let's just talk.
Okay. I think we've actually created something that people would call a podcast.
Yeah, it's perfect.
And that's all that I ever really go for in any one given week is to create one single podcast that someone else might refer to as a podcast. Like, hey, did you hear that one podcast this week?
Yeah.
And if it was mine, then I'm good.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm gonna look at other lightning round questions while we're just kind of doing this, because I think I'm just gonna let this episode just be like all open and loose and just chill, be super chill.
Perfect.
Like you like.
Yeah.
All right, so this is relevant. I'm just like looking through old questions I asked other people, and these will be relevant here. So, would you rather open for your favorite artist of all time or work with your favorite producer of all time?
I'll probably say open for my favorite artists.
Okay.
It probably is not as much of a long-term reward, but probably more personally satisfying.
That's what it's all about. There's only us in this world.
Exactly.
That we have any control over, and that's just God's honest truth. Like we don't control anything else other than our own happiness. And
I think also too, on top of that, there's a very good chance that your favorite producer in the world sitting in a room with you every day telling you what to do and not to do, you're probably not going to end up liking that guy.
No, you probably hate him. Like I don't ever want to meet anyone that I like because I like the allure of them existing in my head. I'm the worst at talking to people that I admire. I had the great privilege of running into John Prine a couple years ago before his untimely passing. But not before I got to travel the 800 square or circle miles surrounding Little Rock, Arkansas. If he played anywhere within then over the previous 3 years, I was probably at his show, front and center. So I got to see him a lot more than a lot of people have, and I appreciate that a lot. But I was at Arnold's in Nashville, and if you're not familiar, it's a meet and three Southern style place that's amazing and wonderful. And whenever things are back open and great, you should definitely go down and check it out. But it was right at the end of the day. I was one of the last people there, and I'm kind of finishing my meal, and then look up from just to the right of me. Mr. Prine is just chilling with a napkin tucked into his shirt like he always does. Just having a grand old time with him and another person. I sat there for another 45 minutes after my meal was finished, trying to figure out the best way to talk to him without interrupting him. I didn't want to interrupt his meal. So I sat there for a long time, and he wasn't moving. He was done eating and just chilling. So I sat in my car for another 30 minutes or so until he walked outside, and then waited, and was like, I hate to do this, but I really love you, and I wanted to take a picture with you if you possibly could. And he did. He was great. He was sweet, wonderful guy.
It's great. It's awesome.
Greatly missed. One of the single greatest songwriters that have ever existed in the world.
Yeah.
And I have had the tremendous privilege of being able to meet him.
Yeah.
But I think we've got, especially if we don't cut anything, we've definitely got a show. So I'm going to close it with last question of the quickest lightning round we've ever done on the show. This is far and away the most controversial. Have you got one for the rest of your life? You got to pick top sheet or comforter.
Fuck. Probably comforter.
But it's a really heavy comforter. Like it's like a weighted blanket.
A weighted blanket. I've never used one of those. I kind of want to try those.
So they're pretty great, actually. My sister, when I was down there, she was like, "Try this out," because it's the middle of a pandemic, and we all have our things.
Yeah.
And then I needed to be cuddled in the moment, but it was too heavy. But then she was like, "No, you got to wrap it around. You like wear it like a shawl." And then it feels like somebody's just gently hugging you all the time. I really enjoyed that. It was very nice.
I think I've had the same roommate now for 4 years. I think if you asked me that maybe before, it might be a different answer. My mom, growing up, always had the temperature at 74.
Oh.
So I grew up in a hot household. But he keeps it at about a cool 69. So I get pretty cold.
Yeah, he sounds a tick too high. You need to be at 68. That's the top.
Yeah.
If you keep it at 68, I like a top sheet at 68.
Yeah.
I run super hot.
Yeah.
74. I don't know. 74 is it's probably
inside your room right now.
Probably hotter than that in here right now. And I can't function. I don't know what to do with myself. If you are a person that knows how to cool off a room that is soundproofed off, email me, keith@theubpodcast.com, or find me at the UB Podcast on all the different things. Tell me, I need the answers to how to cool myself off in my studio whilst not having any ambient noise. So
it's hard.
Put that out there into the ether. If I have listener, I need you to email me and tell me what to do. I think we did it. We did a thing. We've got for our guest bartender segment coming on later today, we've got a really special guest that I'm excited about having. Really great cocktail bartender. You speaking of, you originally was someone that I wanted to have on as a guest bartender, and then the more I read about you, I was like, you know what, you'll be a great just chill main guest and shoot the shit with. I won't even subject you to having to think of a cocktail to make. But if I had not done that, what cocktail would you maybe have thought to share for us? Something just off the top of your head, something you think people might be interested in making at home. What do you got for me, man? Since you're a bartender and all, I let you completely off the hook, and I'm not going to do it.
I know. You know what? I'm a big fan of turning any kind of at home. This is an at home thing. Turning any kind of tea in the pantry into a syrup, and then just whatever spirit I have here and juice in the fridge, just kind of making that. But I've really like to utilize any kind of teas I got sitting around.
So you said into a syrup. What method do you typically use to make a tea infused syrup?
Almost every time it's usually if I do a cup of sugar, a cup of water, and 2 tea bags, and just turn that until the heat up until the sugar's gone. Let it seep for about 10 minutes.
Just do it till it's gone.
Do it till it's gone, man. You don't have to spend too much time on it. A lot of people, get it to a boiling point, but you don't need to go through all that.
No, you really don't. I mean, honestly, you don't need
You don't need
heat
You don't need heat at all.
to dissolve one to
Yeah.
one. But
Nope.
it does make it quicker, and especially for infusions. For infused syrups, I typically do end up heating for at least a rolling boil for like not boil, but a
Yeah.
nice little rolling uh whatever it's called that's not quite a boil. Sub
Yep.
boil would be a word for it, maybe.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna let you out of here. I've
All right,
held
man.
you for 120, an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, we did pretty good.
We did it. It was a joy and a pleasure to have you on, Mr. Jamie White. One thing I like to do for my guest bartenders that I've only done for one other main guest in the history of my show. But since you're a bartender, also I'm gonna let you do it. I like to hop on service bar, let you take point. Anything you want to say, anything you want to let the people know, it's completely yours for as long as you want here. Don't talk for like 20 minutes or something. But
Yeah. No. I just hope to see everybody back at Pearl Diver when things are better, and the new spot opening up. Hopefully, it's sometime in September. It's called Lucky's, as we've talked about, and that's what I got going on my page, and I hope to see everybody there too.
all right, just one last time. So if you want to follow Mr. Jamie White, it's at Jamie Sky Guy, right?
Yep.
On Instagram.
Yeah.
Also, the owner of the Pearl Diver in Nashville and Lucky 3-Star and the Pink Spiders. Make sure you go and give them all a follow. Pearl Diver _ Nashville, Lucky _3, Lucky _star, and the.pink.spiders collectively and respectively. I really appreciate you being on the show, man. Hopefully, next time that I'm talking to you, it's face to face with a cocktail in front of me and a bar between us.
I hope so.
All right, bub. Have a wonderful night, and thank you so much for joining me.
All right, dude. Have a good one. Thank you.
All right, bub. All right, I really appreciate Jamie White joining me for the show today. Unfortunately, the guest bartender that I had scheduled for this evening is unable to join us today. We got kind of pushed late on recording this episode because of all my running around today. So unable to get them in for this show. I don't want to leave you guys without a cocktail, so I'm just going to share one of my oldies but goodies with you guys that I think you'll enjoy. It's one of the first cocktails that I did when I got here in New York. I wanted something that was delicious and also had a New Yorkie kind of name to it. So I came up with the Fernet About It, which is a Fernet, obviously, based drink that's quite delicious. It's kind of a take on a Manhattan, pretty much. It's 2 ounces of High West Rendezvous rye, a 1/4 ounce of Fernet Branca, a 1/4 ounce of ginger syrup. To make that ginger syrup, you can do a cup of water, a cup of sugar, about 2 tablespoons of minced ginger root. Kind of bring that to a low boil for 10-15 minutes. You'll have a nice, delicious ginger syrup. Just build this in a mixing glass over ice, stir down, pour and serve in a coupe or whatever you'd like. But it's a delicious, delicious drink, nice and spicy with some sweet notes to it. If you enjoy complex, spicy drinks, then I think you'll really enjoy this one. But yeah, just want to make sure you guys had something to make if you were making their cocktails weekly. If not, you got a chance to get on board with one of mine. Here pretty soon, I'm going to start opening the show maybe with a couple cocktails for you guys to mill about on. Anyway, yeah, I want to appreciate everyone that's listened to the show so far. Looking forward. We've got some really great shows coming up in the next couple weeks. I'm really, really excited about them. Make sure you follow us on all of our social media so you know who's coming up. So you can make sure you tune in. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at the UB Podcast. We're also on YouTube. Just search the Unemployed Bartender. and on every major podcast thing that exists, the UB podcast or the Unemployed Bartender with Carter. That's going to wrap it up for this show. I appreciate everyone that tuned in to listen. I will catch you guys next week. Great show coming up. I'll see you guys at the bar.